So I wanted to talk to you guys real quick about artist block, similar to writer's block, but it's just kind of a creative doldrums or moment when you just can't seem to get anything to work right, and how to deal with that. So I deal with it on occasion as well, and I was actually talking with one of our fellow members here, Heike, and I were talking, and we were just discussing about artist block and feeling like you can't create anything, and just doing something, and so oddly enough, after we discussed that, I started to kind of having some issues with it, where I was trying to record a class and trying to put stuff together for you guys to go over more deeply into Art Rage and the tools and how to use them, and again, kind of a beginner's guide to it. And I just kept hitting a wall. Every time I would record something, I'd go back and listen to it, and it's like, it stunk. It didn't get across clearly. I was just kind of hitting it. And then I thought, well, okay, I'm just going to paint. I couldn't get anything to come out. I'd work on something, didn't come out. Work on something else, couldn't get it to pull together. Couldn't do all this stuff. So I wanted to discuss that, because I know if she's hitting it and I'm hitting it, then, everybody else hits it as well. And so this painting is the result of my pushing through it and continuing to move forward. So I kind of want to discuss more of the process, so that way if you get stuck, you can at least make something. And that's kind of the to sum it all up, if you don't want to watch all this video, but to sum it all up, make something. Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter. It could be a doodle. It could be a silly sketch. It could be whatever. For me, what I started doing, and let me kind of hide some of these different things here and take you back to the beginning. So I just started putting paint on a canvas and just started smearing it around and looking at some of the forms and looking at some of the contrasts, and then that led me to start, it kind of got that process going, because the human brain, we look for patterns. We look for something identifiable. That's why we can look at clouds and see turtles and deer and choo-choo trains and all that kind of stuff. So because our brains are set up that way to try and identify something, we only need 20% of an object to have our brain fill in the rest, because our brains are lazy. They will just skip to whatever they want to see and be like, oh, that's that, and write it off. That's why there was an interesting study done that when people are in car wrecks or something traumatic, everything slows down. It's like time just goes slower. What that actually is your brain waking up and processing everything that's going on. And so that's why it seems slower. It's still happening at the crazy amount of speed, that whatever it is, but your brain is actually processing every little bit, because it wants to understand what's going on to try and go into survival mode and that kind of stuff. Well, you can have the opposite happen. For example, like if you've ever driven somewhere or traveled somewhere and you get there and you're like, I don't remember any of that drive. I don't remember any of that travel. Just, I know I got here. I remember little bits and pieces. And then part of that is because your brain zones out. Your brain just goes to what it needs for the bare minimum to get stuff done. And that's really kind of what you have to do when you're doing creative stuff, is wake your brain up and get it to start getting outside of itself and start looking for different stuff. So that's what I did here. I started just smearing colors around, and I was just throwing them on here with the palette knife and smushing them all around. And I started, and for whatever reason, I was going all vertical, and then I just started going to side down here at the bottom. I think that's where my brain was starting to wake up. And that to me looked like a reflection. And I thought, And so then I just kind of kept moving it around. And I went through, and still, I went through several variations of what I was going to get to. Like this was one. Didn't like it, hated it. So I just kept pushing through, and I thought, okay, I do want to do something like that. So let me put some trees. Let me put some ideas. And so I moved up my horizon line and put it up here, and then I started messing around. Well, that looked even more like a reflection, and so I thought, okay, I want this to be kind of a contrast. So I've got these really warm colors. I want to put some cool colors in. So that's what I started doing here. And I thought, all right, yeah, I kind of like the snow. I'm kind of getting that. My brain was starting to wake up, and I said, okay, well, let me throw some highlights on. Let me throw some, to kind of see how it looks. And you'll see there are artifacts here from where I've gone back and forth on layers and worked on them. But I started, throwing on even more, and then I started adding more stuff. And then one of the things was I said I want to add some trees and some interest. So I did that. And I said, hey, I do want to have these birch trees over here, and I do want to have an evergreen. So I kind of started doing that. And then I started, adding in a few more details. I was like, I want to add in some highlights to this tree to kind of make it look like the light is really glowing through it. I need to seat these trees. And so let me put some bushes and some stuff to kind of seat them there. And then let me add some more snow and some more highlights and some more glittering of stuff. And then I thought, I'm going to add some wildlife into it to give it some interest, and started playing around with it. So really what happened was that my brain started waking up because I started making it work. I started making it look for patterns and look for shapes and that kind of stuff. And so that's really what I wanted to share with you guys, was that if you hit a roadblock, an artist block, a writer's block, any kind of block with that, just do something. Because most of the time we hit that block because we are just scared. We're scared of judgment. We're judging ourselves. We're scared of somebody else judging us. We're scared that somebody's going to be like, well, that's just not that great. And, it's all these different kind of things that we're just nervous about. And to paraphrase what I think it was Andy Warhol said once, was that just make art. Just make it. Let the viewer decide if it's good or bad. You don't worry about it. And while they're deciding, you keep making art. And that sticks with me at these times like this, where I just get down on myself. I'm like, I can't get anything to come together. I can't get a composition together. And I just make art. And that's what I was doing here, was just trying to push through and make art, make some sort of expression. Because when I do that, as soon as I get to where I want it, and if I stop myself from caring if it's quote unquote good or quote unquote bad, or if it's anything like that, I just make something, then everything opens back up. And that's what you have to do. So in order to push through artist block, you've got to keep doing that. You've got to keep working on stuff. You got to keep moving it. Take a walk, take a break, sketch something down. And when I say take a break, I don't mean stop doing it. I mean push yourself to do something else, but just keep moving forward, but take a break from trying to create a masterpiece. Take a break from trying to do the next great thing, and just do something. Just have fun again. Doodle, play around, make something. And eventually what'll happen is your brain will wake up and it'll start doing these different things. So I wanted to share that with you, just a real quick video to kind of have a heart-to-heart if you're going through these things and kind of, working on them. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope you got something out of it. Discuss below. This would be a great conversation for all of us. So I appreciate all of you, and thanks a lot.